New Book Tuesday. I'm Lisa. I'll be your host. I'm going to try things a little differently today because we have a new webcam, so I can be on camera a little easier. But I also want to show you some stuff on my screen, so I'll probably switch screensaver to the screen sharing here in a second. But first, let's talk about our giveaway this week. I'm giving away The Times I Knew I Was Gay by Eleanor Crewes. It's a memoir, but she's an illustrator, so it's more in a cartoon style. I've been flipping through it. It looks pretty good. It comes out on October 6th. It's been described as a heartwarming, delightful memoir. And you can win it by commenting on this video, either on Facebook or on YouTube. Tell me which of today's books you're most interested in reading. You can have that in your hands by early next week. So, okay. Now here comes the hard part. You gotta switch. Oh, it doesn't let me switch. Well, that's annoying. Okay, because I did not print out little covers for... No, that's not what I want. Why can't I change? Okay. It looks like I'm going to... Oh, okay. We'll do this like this. Let me pick you up and put you here. Let's see how this looks. It looks like infinite screens. There we go. Let's see. Get it over here. Okay. So we're still in October pre-releases. Today we have two themes, which we'll get into in a second. First, I am drinking my vanilla bean macaron tea, which is my favorite. And I'm reading another October pre-release called Plain Bad Heroines by Emily Danforth. She wrote The Miseducation of Cameron Post, which I haven't read, but I have seen the movie it was based on, and I really liked it. And it was described as a horror comedy, which is my two favorite genres. When and if I finish it, I'll post a review to Goodreads, but it comes out on October 20th. I'm still at the beginning, so it's starting out a little slow, but I'm sticking with it because I think it might be interesting. Okay. So our first subject today is going to be Magic is in the Air. Since it's October, naturally we need to talk about some fun books that are fantasy related, magic related, anything like that. Let me see. Okay, that's not bad. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. The first of which is the highly anticipated prequel to Practical Magic. It's called Magic Lessons by Alice Hoffman. The original Practical Magic had talked about a contemporary family of witches who had been cursed by one of their ancestors, that any man they loved would die. This is that original story. It's the matriarch of the line who was jilted by a man and chose to curse herself and the rest of her female line. The main character is Maria Owens, and it comes out on October 6th. We're also getting The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow, which is set in 1893. It's historical, but it does have supernatural elements. And it's about three sisters who use witchcraft to change the course of history in this Hugo Award-winning author's powerful novel of magic amid the suffragette movement. This already has hundreds of reviews, and they're falling between 4 and 5 stars, which is really good. It comes out on October 13th. see, Witch Hunt, A Traveler's Guide to the Power and Persecution of the Witch. So Kristen Soilee, who wrote this, is a second-generation witch, and she decided to travel to the locations of historic witch hunts. So it's part travel log, part discussing the history of these locations and the things that happened there, and sort of drawing a line between the witch travels, or the witch trials, and using that to illuminate current women's rights and human rights. And I thought it sounded really interesting. It is coming out October 13th, according to this. Okay. This one's a little funny. Or not funny, but the reviews are kind of funny. Demonic Foes, My 25 Years as a Psychiatrist Investigating Possessions. Diabolic Attacks and the Paranormal by Richard Gallagher. I always go hunting for reviews to see what I want to tell you guys about these books, and deliberately looking for contradictory reviews. In the description of the book, it says that he was a successful psychiatrist and a skeptic, and he was asked by a priest to consult on a case, and he believes that woman was genuinely possessed. And from then on, he began working on cases of possession and works of the devil and things like that. It sounds like the premise for a TV show. It actually sounds like the premise for Evil on CBS, which I do watch and I do like. But when I was looking for the contradictory reviews, it was funny how some of them seem to, the way he explains himself is a successful psychiatrist who was a skeptic, and the way that Kirkus described him was a psychiatrist who was also a devout Catholic, which presents the story slightly differently. And ultimately, Kirkus said, it's an interesting and compelling and it's well written, but this isn't going to convince anyone who doesn't already believe. But if you do believe in these things, the book comes out October 6th, and you may want to read it. All right. Black Sun. This is the one everyone's freaking out about. The author wrote, she's a best-selling author. She wrote Star Wars Resistance Reborn, which was extremely well received. She also did the Between the Earth and the Sky trilogy. It's an epic adventure exploring the decadence of power amidst the weight of history and the struggle of individuals swimming against the confines of society and their broken paths. This is going to be a series, and this is the first one. It comes out on October 13th. There are over 200 reviews, and they're all coming between 4 and 5 stars, which means people are loving it. I like the sound of this one because, I enjoy the occasional creepy kid narrative. But this is We Hear Voices by Evie Green. It's a debut novel about a little boy who survives a severe flu. And when he does, he starts telling his mother about his imaginary friend, which is not that unusual, but his imaginary friend starts telling him to do violent and destructive things. So it's been pretty well received so far. I put this on my October list, and obviously because I wanted to include some supernatural stuff for October, but it doesn't actually come out until December 1st. We are planning on buying it, though. All right, moving on. We have an entire category just about famous people or written by famous people that I'm calling Already Famous. Beginning with Cary Grant, A Brilliant Disguise by Scott Eyman. I had heard this about Cary Grant. I've heard several things about him. The sort of public image of him is almost a complete contradiction to who he was as a young person and the way he grew up. He was an acrobat, and that's how he was able to come to America, but his father was an alcoholic. His mother was committed to an asylum. He had a very troubled young life. And despite so much success, he remained really deeply conflicted, and not just about, the events of his past, but also about who he was as a person. I'm sure this book is absolutely fascinating. They said it's the Eyman has gone into Grant's his papers. He's done extensive archival research. He's interviewed families and friends. He's done all the legwork to create a definitive portrait of this movie Immortal. There are only a handful of reviews so far, but they're all good, and it comes out October 20th. So, Matthew McConaughey wrote a book, which makes me want to make a really mean joke about whether or not Matthew McConaughey can read, which is not fair. He apparently has been writing journals since he was a teenager, and he's collected those journals and to some extent reflected on them to write this memoir. The title, Green Lights, is from a phrase he likes to use, catching green lights. He means like when you're driving and you get a green light everywhere you go instead of a yellow or red. There are no early reviews because they're not sending out previews of this. They're not letting anybody read it in advance. They're going to lean on McConaughey's star power to sell this thing almost entirely, which, okay, sure. I wanted to read you a little section that he wrote for the description because, it's a preview of what you're getting yourself into. So I took a one-way ticket to the desert and wrote this book. An album, a record, a story of my life so far. This is 50 years of my sights and scenes, felt and figured outs, cools and shamefuls, graces, truths, and beauties of brutality, getting away withs, getting caughts, and getting wets while trying to dance between the raindrops. So if you're interested in that, which, it might be fascinating, it will come out on October 20th. Accidentally Wes Anderson by Wally Koval. This is going to be highly image-based as opposed to something like the Cary Grant book, which is almost entirely narrative. But this is a visual adventure of Wes Anderson proportions. It is authorized by Anderson, and it includes stunning photographs of real-life places that seem plucked from the just-so world of his films, presented with fascinating human stories behind each facade. And it comes out October 20. She Come By It Natural, Dolly Parton, and the Women Who Lived Her Songs by Sarah Smarsh. Sarah Smarsh had written a book called Heartland. It was about bold, hard luck women who were raised in rural America. She's sort of the natural writer for something like this. She's, let me see, how to describe it. Smarsh explores the overlooked contributions of social progress by such women, including those averse to the term feminism. Far beyond the recently resurrected Jolene and the quintessential 9 to 5, Parton's songs for decades have validated women who go unheard, the poor woman, the pregnant teenager, the struggling mother disparaged as trailer trash. Parton's broader career, from singing on the front porch of her family's cabin in the Smoky Mountains to achieving stardom in Nashville and Hollywood, from girl singer managed by powerful men to leader of a self-made business and philanthropy empire, offers a springboard to examining the intersections of gender, class, and culture. I'm always interested in anything that discusses feminism in terms of class, because I think impoverished women, the women she's just described in that passage, do often get overlooked. But if you're interested in reading about this, it will come out on October 13th. All right. I was very interested in this book, and I had to kind of sort of squeeze it in. I think I kind of made this category for this in the Matthew McConaughey book. It's called Celeste Holmes Syndrome on Character Actors from Hollywood's Golden Age by David Lazar. This is a collection of essays about classic films, and a lot of them deal with the character actors who are in these films. I adore character actors in general, and the ones from classic films in particular. So that's sort of what drew me to it. The published reviews all say it's pretty much a must-read for classic film fans. It comes out on October 1st. And this is another one that was really interesting to me because my father's a guitar man, so I knew about B.B. King and the blues and all of these things growing up. But Black Diamond Queens, African American Women in Rock and Roll, discusses the women who helped create rock and roll. It's by Maureen Mahon. It's uncovering the hidden history of Black women in rock and roll, revealing a powerful sonic legacy that continues to reverberate into the 21st century. And it will come out on October 30th. All right, next week we're going to discuss October leftovers. For those of you who are waiting for the October new books, let me take you off of this thing. Put you over here again. No, don't fall down. Don't fall down. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Wait, I've got it right over here. The new books for October, both fiction and nonfiction, are out. So if you want to grab those on your next trip to Curbside, you can get those. Next week I'll cover, because October is so big and there's just so many things being published this month, I feel like there's some books I didn't get to here and we didn't get a chance to add to the new book list. So I'll go ahead and go over some of those next week, and then we'll move on to November. We have a Goodreads group if you'd like to join that. That's also where I'm going to post what I'm reading and my review for Plain Bad Heroines whenever I finally finish it. I have a newsletter that includes all of these books and links to the books in the catalog. If you wanted to put any of them on hold, you can find the link for that in the description. And if you want to comment on today's video, tell me which book you're the most excited about, you get a chance to win The Times I Knew I Was Gay by Eleanor Crewes. Thanks for watching.